In today's video, we'll discuss the Los Angeles Lakers and their new secret weapon. So without further ado, let's get into it. The Los Angeles Lakers are currently in the bottom tier of the Western Conference, and although that sounds pretty bad, they aren't that bad of a team anymore. Because remember, they started off the season 0-5, and things were looking horrific in Los Angeles. But as of late, while they haven't been great or amazing, they have been decent, and that's a good sign, especially since Anthony Davis has been out due to a foot injury. The Lakers are 24th in win percentage, 9th in points per game, 6th in field goal percentage, 27th in three-point shooting, 13th in free throw shooting, 6th in rebounding, 15th in assists, and 16th in defensive rating. So on paper, the Lakers are now a decent team, and for the most part, that's true. But let's now go over every key and impact player on the roster to see just how the Lakers are slowly rising in the Western Conference, starting, of course, with the king himself, LeBron James. LeBron James is averaging 29 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, and 1 steal while shooting 50% from the field, 75% from the free throw line, and 28% from 3 on 6.6 attempts per game. And as of late, he's been averaging 32, 10, and 8 over his last 7 games. So he's absolutely been playing at an MVP level this entire season. And although it doesn't always equate to wins, he sure is pulling his weight on the court. When it comes to his dominance in the paint, he's 3rd in the NBA in shots within 5 feet from the basket, shooting 73% on 9.7 attempts per game. So he has definitely been hyper efficient on the inside, and the 250-pound power forward might just be the best driver in the game. And of course, you could certainly argue that Giannis or Zion are better drivers and finishers, but we think we can all agree he's top 3 at worst. And that's absolutely amazing for a 38-year-old, or anyone for that matter. You quite simply can't keep him from the rim. He's too fast, strong, and skilled to be stopped by a single defender. And not to mention he's ambidextrous and can finish with his left or right hand. And that's exactly why he's arguably the best transition threat in the NBA. He's second only behind Giannis in points off of transition, finishing 63% on his transition opportunities. He is the king of bully ball. And if you don't have a center down low that weighs at least 250 pounds, LeBron will have a feast with your defense. And he can still get up and off the ground at an elite level. So if you don't want to end up on a poster, we would advise you just to move out of the way. And not to mention, this new NBA is really benefiting LeBron. Teams are no longer looking for huge 260-pound centers who can barely move around on defense. Teams like the Mavericks, Celtics, Nets, Rockets, Raptors, Kings, and more would rather have a relatively thin center who can guard multiple positions and be versatile. So with LeBron probably weighing more than the majority of the starting centers in the NBA, it makes his trips into the lane extremely easy, especially with a full head of steam. And when it comes to the mid-range, James is ranked 20th in shots within 15 to 19 feet, shooting 44% on 2 attempts per game. And believe it or not, LeBron is one of the more underrated mid-range scorers in the game today. He isn't Kevin Durant or DeMar DeRozan from the mid-range, but he is still good in this area. James is very good when facing up in the mid-range and shooting over defenders out of the triple threat. And the other way he gets his mid-range buckets is by using his fadeaways, which are usually really effective. And when it comes to three-pointers, James is statistically one of the worst right now. But he is still averaging 29 points, so we don't think anyone's too worried about that. Plus, he's a better shooter than his numbers show. And we're not saying he's like a next-level shooting threat by any means, but he's a solid three-point shooter that can heat up fast. And on the defensive end, he's okay. And in year 20, that's really all you can ask for. He's a solid post defender, solid perimeter defender unless he's defending a smaller and quicker guard, and he's still pretty good in the passing lanes. So while he's not an elite defender, he is above average for sure. But now on to impact player number 2, Russell Westbrook. And to be completely honest, the 6th Man of the Year award should be given to him right now. We don't think we've ever seen a player make such a dramatic turnaround like he has in such a short amount of time. Russell's 10th in the NBA in drives per game with 16, and he's shooting 49% on 5 attempts per game. So not only is he a high-volume driver, but he's finishing them at a solid clip as well. And Russ is still arguably the best driving guard in the league. There's not many point guards in the NBA who can stop him from getting to the rim. He's excellent at using his strong frame, athleticism, and explosiveness. And we gave James credit for being an elite transition threat, but Russ he's on that same level. And the pace he plays with in the open court is always fun to watch. And not to mention his passing and playmaking. He's 9th in the NBA in assists, and he plays less minutes than all the other 8 players in front of him. So if Russ was averaging maybe around 31 minutes instead of 28, he would be leading the league in assists without a question. And he's already 4th in assists per game per 36 minutes. So he's been a standout passer for the Lakers this season. He's been good at setting up the big man with easy dump-off passes and lobs. And that's no surprise, because Russ has always utilized his big men to the fullest extent throughout his career. But when it comes to shooting, he's obviously not a good shooter overall, but he's still been a solid three-point shooter as of late. And on the defensive end, he's solid as well, and he's always coming up with huge blocks, steals, or defensive stops in clutch moments. But now on to the next impact player, Dennis Schroeder. Dennis is averaging 15 points and 3 assists while shooting 38% from 3 and 90% from the line over his last 7 games. He has been the Lakers' third option as of late, and he's thriving in his role. On the offensive end, he does everything you could ask for. He can run the pick and roll, he's a good passer, a good shooter, a good driver, and an elite free throw shooter. When he has it going, he makes the Lakers electric, and it opens up the game for LeBron. And due to the things we just mentioned, there might not be a better fit to play with Bron than Schroeder. And on the defensive end, he might be one of the more underrated defensive guards in the league. Head coach Darvin Ham loves using him to pick up opposing players from 90 feet out. He's a pest out there on defense. And he's also an excellent off-ball defender and does a great job in denying the ball and making his opponents work for every shot. And in case you didn't know from watching him, he has an enormous 6'8" wingspan. And given the fact that he's only about 6 feet 2 inches tall, it's not hard to see why he's such a good defender. Now, on to the next player. Austin Reeves. Reeves is averaging 10, 3, and 2 while shooting 48% from the field, 36% from 3, and 89% from the free throw line. He's continuing to be the ultimate glue guy who does a little bit of everything. He can pass, shoot, rebound, and play hard defense on every single possession. And although he has missed some time due to a hamstring injury, it's expected he'll come back 100% and not skip a beat out there on the floor. And the same thing can be said about their guard, Lonnie Walker, who's having an amazing season so far. And although he's also injured at the recording of this video, he is expected to be back soon and maybe be back in the lineup before this video is even released. As for Troy Brown Jr., he's averaging 8, 4, and 1 over his last 7 games while shooting 40% from 3. He's been a solid shooter for the Lakers and a good cutter as well, but he's most valuable on the defensive end. At 6'6", he's long and has solid mobility, therefore making him a pretty versatile defender who competes hard. That goes for Juan Toscano-Anderson as well. And yes, Brown Jr. is a far better offensive player than Anderson, but he's definitely the better overall defender. JTA can comfortably defend 3 and sometimes 4 positions, and with the Lakers having so many injuries, he's been out there on the court a lot more, going from 13 minutes a night to 18 minutes a night over his last 8 games. Max Christie and Wenyen Gabriel have both been pretty solid over this stretch of games as well. Gabriel has been a great rebounder and gives the Lakers tons of extra possessions with his hustle, and so does Max. Christie is still trying to find his shooting stroke, but it's definitely coming along. And both him and Gabriel are pretty solid defenders who give it their all. And Patrick Beverley, well, he's just been Patrick Beverley, an irritant, a leader, and a good defender. But now, let's talk about the reason you clicked on this video, and that's the Lakers' secret weapon, who's been a godsend for Los Angeles since AD went out, Thomas Bryant. Thomas Bryant's averaging 14 points and 8 rebounds over his last 8 games. Bryant's most notable contribution is in the rebounding department. He fights for every single rebound, and his massive 7'6" wingspan definitely helps him out. Thomas is a rebounding machine, and when he and Anthony are on the floor together, they're one of the best front court rebounding duos in the NBA. He's got an extremely high motor, and that's something you love to see from a center. In the pick and roll, he's 11th in the NBA in pick and roll points per game, and he's even 17th in the NBA in total pick and roll points with 104 so far. So yeah, Bryant has been an elite pick and roll threat, and having 2 elite playmakers on your roster in LeBron and Russ certainly helps. And remember, he's putting up those crazy numbers while only playing between 20 to 23 minutes per night on the season. He's just been an insanely productive offensive player, and with his ability to stretch the floor, it skyrockets his value. And even with him playing great, the Lakers are still reportedly looking to sign another big man in Boogie Cousins or Myers Leonard, which is a strange case because shooting the three is obviously their biggest problem right now. But nonetheless, Thomas Bryant has been extremely helpful to the Lakers' offensive scheme, and he's getting better and better as he gets more minutes. And even though he isn't the best rim protector or defender in general, he's above average, and we think he'll become more consistent on the defensive end as time progresses. And also, don't forget, he's only 25. He has a little time to grow and evolve defensively. But what do you think? Does Thomas Bryant make the Lakers playoff contenders? Or will they finish with yet another losing record? Let us know what you think in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.